Welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Elena Russo. As we celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Civil War, we welcome a new museum to the district, and one that will reveal one of America's most best-kept secrets. Here to provide the details, please welcome Dr. Frank Smith, who is the founder and executive director of the African American Civil War Museum. Dr. Smith, thank you for coming in.
I'm very glad to be here.
Let's get right to this best-kept secret. What is it that we're going to be looking forward to?
Well, let me just say that the African American Civil War Museum has in it now artifacts and photographs and love letters and bills of sale for a wonderful young girl named Lethe who finally gets her freedom once the Civil War starts. So this is a museum that collects items about the African American Civil War Memorial, which lists the names of 200,000 African American soldiers who joined President Lincoln and the Union Army to help to end slavery and keep America united under one flag.
Why do you think that was such a secret for so long?
Well, you know, it's interesting. As I studied this, sometimes I think America might have been a little bit embarrassed that it had to turn to these African American soldiers to help save the Union. I mean, President Lincoln was in the middle of a war that he couldn't win without doing something about slavery, and he didn't want to do anything about it if he didn't have to, because it was such a tough issue and it was so entangled in the economy and entangled in the hearts and minds of people. But in the end, he couldn't win the war without bringing these guys in. And so he ended up with 200,000 of them in the Union Army. When the war is over, many of them go home, and some of them get elected to office and serve in the U.S. Congress. So it's a wonderful story. And, of course, now we have a descendant of, well, let's say, of an African-American who was the President of the United States, President Barack Obama. So it's a fantastic story, really, about America.
Why has this museum and monument been built?
Well, we built it for two purposes. One was to correct the great wrong in history, which left this story out of the history books pretty much. I think you probably know it still is being left out of the history books pretty much now. We expect to correct that by the time this sesquicentennial celebration is over. But the other purpose was to contribute to the revitalization of the historic U Street community, which was devastated really by the riots of 1968, which really where all the houses were burned down, a lot of the businesses and things like that. And the the community got such a bad reputation. It took years and years and years of revitalization and hard work. And when you come up to U Street now, what you see is a thriving community that's integrated, as black and whites, young, is international. We've got all these Ethiopian restaurants. We've got all these things up there. So when you come, not only will you be able to see a new museum that's dedicated to this great story, but you also will be able to enjoy the great culture and history of U Street.
Now, you've got a big celebration that you're here to talk about today coming up that special weekend in July.
That's right. That's right. Well, we work hard to get this thing up and ready for the middle of July. July 18th is the main day when the celebration takes place. And by the way, July 18th was picked because this is the date of the Battle of Fort Wagner. Fort Wagner is the one that the movie Glory is made about, and everybody knows about that great march down there in South Carolina. And most people don't know that the Shaw community of Washington, D.C. gets its name from Robert Gould Shaw, who was the commander of the Massachusetts 54th. He was the leader of that regiment. He gave his full measure, as President Lincoln said, in that battle. But July 18th is our main date. That's when we have our grand opening, and we've invited President Obama. We certainly hope he'll come. One of the Obamas, at least, will come. Then on Sunday, the day before, we're going to have a film festival. We're showing Civil War, civil rights films to show people the progress of the black community here in the United States in film. And then Saturday, which is the 2 days before the grand opening, we're going to have a teacher and scholars conference where we have a bunch of teachers, a couple hundred teachers who are coming along with some Park Service rangers. They're going to learn this story, too, about this new exhibit, about what our new story is, and see our new artifacts there and be trained in ways to interpret this. So we're excited about this. We want the public to come out and join us. It's 3 days, July 16th, July 17th, and July 18th. Put it on your schedule. Come out and join us.
Great. Now, this is an event that sort of opens up the new museum, which actually was just a little cubbyhole before. So this is an event that we really must come to. But if we can't, you will be open.
That's right. That's right. We'll be open to the public from now on, actually. And we're open at really 7 days a week now. We're open from Saturdays and Sundays and during the week also. So come out and join us at 1925 Vermont Avenue Northwest, right at the corner of Vermont U Street in Washington, D.C.
Great. Dr. Smith, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
You've just heard from Dr. Frank Smith, who is the founder and executive director for the African American Civil War Museum. For Comcast Newsmakers, I'm Elena Russo.